Hey, welcome everyone. Sim, what are you doing to me there? We are live. Hi everyone, I'm Chris Muppet. I'm thrilled to welcome you to another episode of Amplify Your Brand, the ultimate live in building your powerful brand in today's digital age. Along with my friend and fellow Sim over there, who's just totally distracted me there. We're happy to share the experience and help you take your brand to the next level. So whether you're an entrepreneur, a small business owner, a marketing professional, or someone who's trying to tinker around with a new personal brand of that sort, this live stream is packed with practical insights and strategies that will help you amplify your brand and stand out in the digital landscape that we work in these days. So please get ready, take some notes, take what we talk about, put it into action, because by the end of this live stream, we'll have a roadmap to build your brand and truly resonates with your target audience. So thanks again for joining us today. We're here to find, and let's find another way to amplify your brand. And today's topic, Sim, is the 3 Ps of your target market. It's more than just people who buy your products and services. And we want to make sure that you're seeing the whole picture. It's an interesting thing because 3 Ps, different ways to go about this. But essentially, most people think about their target audience as the people who give them money, who pay what they do, and not fully understanding the brand touches a lot of other aspects. And that's why we're saying there are 3 of them. And I guess we'll get into those in the program. But just your take on what we're going to talk about today.
We've mentioned this in the past a number of times, Chris. I'm going to revive today's introduction to the topic with that same thought. Branding is an inwards first and outwards second process. Keep that in mind. Chris, let's dive in.
Let's get into it. So before we do, actually, let's talk about the fact that why we're doing this today is everything we talk about is part of the branding program that we've been developing over 20 years and upgrading our brand identity framework. So it encompasses 8 critical sections of the brand, which we call the 8 Ps. It's an easy to understand and implement program. So if you're a business owner who wants to amplify your brand, then please look at what we've put together here. And we would love to highlight today that we're going to be talking about people in this process, because as much as it is, and you're a fan of this, my friend, Sim, you have dogs like I do. I have pets as well. They do influence our decisions, but they aren't going to give us some whole car cash to go out and buy them dog biscuits and dog food and all that kind of stuff. So, but that is a great example of what we're going to talk about today. Is if you have pets, they are influencing your decision, and if they're having a certain experience, what we're talking about today will be an example of why, when we say that you've got to think about the people who influence, in this case, the 3 Ps, who are the influencers of what you do. So let's get into it. What's today about? Well, we're going to discover how to create lasting relationships with those who fund your business. We're going to learn the art of turning customers into brand promoters, and then we're going to explore innovative ways for you to form strategic partnerships with those that benefit both parties. And the key there is benefiting both parties. Most of us, obviously, as I touched on there, talk about those who purchase our products, but there's more to it than meets the eye. So in this session, we're going to talk about the 3 Ps of your market, a concept that will hopefully revolutionize the way you're currently approaching your brand's target audience. Why the 3 Ps? Well, your target market isn't just about making sales. It's about building sustainable ecosystems around your business. By recognizing your payers, your promoters, and your partners, you'll gain a holistic view of your audience and unlock new opportunities for growth and success. So it's more than the people who buy your product and service I just highlighted. So let's see if we can help you get the whole picture. What is the first part? Understanding your payers. So Sim, who are the individuals who, and entities who financially invest in your business is something that people don't think about as just the person that, like, they look at number 3 on this list and go customers and clients. That's who's paying me. That's who's looking after me. But a lot of businesses actually have investors and shareholders. A lot of our clients that we work with may not be at that level of type of business, but I have worked with plenty of businesses over my career that have that kind of backing. They have investors and shareholders. And then there's the one that you may not think about, but if you've got relationships with your banks, you've got 90 days or 30-day credits with suppliers and things like that. All these things add up to a relationship. So if you look after these people can help you build your brand, grow your business, and they're going to talk and be advocates on your behalf. And that's probably the ultimate goal of everything we talk about today, is we're creating a advocacy where you don't have to do the selling. Someone else is doing that for you, and they don't even need to sell it because it's just all happening. It's all magically just starting to come together because the word of mouth is working for you. Do you want to add to what we're talking about here, Tim?
I want to create a parallel to small business realities. Investors and shareholders can be many times the relationships around us. Like Chris said, they are relationships. They may be me. Okay, take 4, action. They may be more or less visible. I got it this time, but they are there. We're talking about family and friends. For family, sometimes it's that person who lives with you. It's that environment that supports you having your go at having and launching a small business. People around you that support you in whatever way that they can, whether that be a coffee and a conversation when you go out. These are people that are in some way, direct or indirect, invested that you succeed in your business.
That's right. No, great. I'm glad you brought that together because that actually does make a perfect sense with what we just talked about then. So obviously, and then we talk about lenders and creditors, and that can just be exactly the same approach with what we just talked on then. So when you're thinking about your brand, think about the people who are paying you, but don't think about it as just the people who you're invoicing and producing the services for. There are clearly other people who are influencing your business and your brand. So clearly, how do we leverage their support to fuel your growth? So when it comes to the investors and the shareholders, as Sim's brought it now closer to home for hopefully some of you who have smaller businesses, look at ways you can engage them as partners. You know, how can you give them advice and the insight so that they're seeking certain things, and maybe they can tell others about that. Use their network. So think about, you know, how you can highlight partnerships, opportunities for them to tell others about you, and you get potential clients out of it. And then communicate transparently about your growth plans to them. Tell them what you're trying to do. So some people keep that growth plan a secret and don't tell anyone about it, but it's actually one of the biggest mistakes you can do, because it's like that law of attraction thing. If you put it out there, you're likely to attract more of it. But if you keep it hidden and in your head, no one's going to help you because you haven't told anyone that's what you're trying to achieve. But I don't know how many times I've told people something, and that's something led to a conversation where they've gone, well, I know Harry, Bob, and Sally. They might be able to help you. And then you talk to them, and then they're like, oh, well, I've got Joan, Bob, and Sue over here. And all of a sudden, you know, you're 3 or 4 down the rung. But that happened from one conversation, just being open and transparent about where you're trying to go, you know, in life, in business, whatever it is. And people want to help. It's just human nature. You know, yes, we have a lot of people out there that are takers, and they just want to, you know, you all know them. But in general, most people want to help. And the best way to do that is to communicate what you're trying to achieve with your business and your brand. And again, when you go through our P8 program, we actually highlight these things, and hopefully that helps you communicate that clearer. And by being clearer about your communication, there's no confusion, which should lead to you getting more of what you're asking for back. Lenders and creditors. So obviously maintaining strong relationships with these people, meeting payments and obligations, negotiating favorable loan terms, you know, these kind of things will help you and your business grow. Showing financial stability will also get people talking about your business. Now, this isn't for everybody, and it may not seem like it's logically a brand thing, but again, remember, brand is about an experience, and it's about people who you don't own that emotion that they have attached to your brand. But if they're having a negative one, then clearly they're going to have that negative connotations to you and the brand. Where if you can keep these things in a happy place, then people are going to look after you, and they're probably going to want to tell others to do business with you, which is what I'm trying to get at with some of this stuff we're highlighting here. Sim, do you have anything to add?
Well, no. Again, you just mentioned the word relationships, and I think that is absolutely applicable, definitely to the first slide that we've gone through, and then lenders and creditors. Having open lines of communication, again, inwards and outwards, will facilitate that strong credit profile, or even the relationship who is managing the bank side of things. because they're going to be the gatekeeper that you'll be able to liaise with regarding a slight delay in overpayment every now and then, renegotiate your contract, because they have access to certain doorways and little loopholes in the contracts that they establish. They may like you more than they like some other client of theirs, and they're going to open that door or nudge you in a certain direction. And by you having that relationship with that entity, you're going to facilitate the growth of your business and brand.
That's right. Yep. So there's some really hopefully insightful ways that you can go about looking at. Just, you may not think of financials and lenders and creditors as an obvious option for you to explore where your branding communications could be done better, but it is a way to build that relationship. And then we get to the obvious ones, which is customers and clients. So when you're talking to your customers at the moment, are you encouraging them to repeat business through either a loyalty program or an exceptional customer service that you're delivering on the promises you've made in your brand? Have you found ways to get feedback and reviews to build that credibility and attract new customers who see others experiencing the amazing work you're doing for them, and then they're giving that feedback? And then obviously leveraging the customers' referrals and word of mouth marketing to expand your customer base. All this stuff seems really obvious, Sim, but so many of our clients don't do this. They just go about head down, bum up, and just doing the work. And
deliver the service, end of relationship, let's go and find another client. And
that's
that
right.
is a problem that most of us that most of us will run into at some point.
Yeah, that's right. So when we work with our clients, we're obviously looking at ways to tell them that, like, yes, thank you for getting us to do your brand and work with you on that nice, attractive, thing that we've created. But now let's look at how we can keep it attractive and looking at the way we wanted it to be delivered. And that is one of the things that people maybe not thinking about when it comes to branding, is it isn't just getting you to design that logo. We have talked about this in previous sessions, that just having a nice visual logo and design and things like that is not what branding is all about. It's about the experience and giving your customer audience the ownership of this brand, and they will help you get to where you got to go. But you've obviously got to give them something to want to buy into, to then want to take on that next step. So, yeah.
And that could be as simple as having a QR code on the counter at your brick and mortar shop, or it could be building a referral-based program whereas the referrer gets a discount on their next purchase. So long as you are extending the road into the future, you're taking steps so that that loyalty and that remembrance and that presence of top of mind is kept. And we have different ways of doing this, but depending on how your brand is set up, whether if it's a digital only or if it's a depending on personal relationships, there are always ways of amplifying that relationship and propagating it into the future. Maybe not directly through them, but somebody they know may be going through the same experience. And we build templates and deploy these templates into our clients' businesses so that at the end of a delivery, they can then use that template of an email, of a script that allows them to go into the cross-sell, the upsell, or the referral. So this is something that is very, very important to build that loyalty that Chris was just talking about.
Yeah. So think about those word of mouth things that you can do, and what can you do to encourage repeat business is the thing here. And that's where we'd love to help you. If you're not sure how to go about this or what those things could look like, please reach out to us. We're more than happy to have a chat to you about it. So understanding your payers, the third part of this is strategies to keep your payers satisfied and coming back for more, which leads on to what we just talked about. So look at ways you can deliver exceptional value. Can you continuously improve your product or your service to exceed the customer's expectation? Can you provide personalized experiences, solutions that address specific needs? And as we just touched on again, offering a loyalty program, discounts, rewards for that ongoing support. When we develop the brands for our clients, one of the things that we talk about is, now that we've developed this, do you believe what we've put together? Because one of the things that can make one of our clients' brands fail faster than anything is that they've gone through the process, but they haven't been truthful to us the whole way through the process. And then we go deliver, and then they're going south and we've delivered something that's trying to go north. Like you've got to be true to what your brand values are, your promises are, all these things. It can't be just something you make up. So, and if you do those things, then everything we just talked about with loyalty programs and the way you go about it, like we've got a client that recently doesn't want to use the word members, like he doesn't want a membership. So we've said, well, we'll call it something called the community, or we'll call it something that's sort of like, you're the local. It's these kind of words. So it's the same thing. It's just we're changing the language so that the target audience is resonating with what we're talking about. And these are the things you need to know to understand your brand and keep people coming back, because you're talking to them, you're using language that makes sense to them.
Yep. Absolutely. And research goes into this as well. Like the first point right there, delivering exceptional value. What that refers to is being able to understand what the industry or the space that your brand is in. What's the baseline standard? What is status quo? What do you need to do on a regular basis that keeps you just on par with everybody else? And then what do you have within your existing skills and knowledge, IP, that is able to extend further past that status quo? I'll give you a quick example. Recently, we've had an experience, two experiences with delivery. It's not delivery, it was movable services. And we were very satisfied with one of the services, and we were very unsatisfied with the other service of movable. So at the baseline of the industry of movables, we discovered that it's not common practice for everybody to do what the part that made us pleased practiced in their delivery. Right. And to give you, sorry.
No, I'm going right. Yep.
So bringing this to an example that you can easily understand, a fitness equipment business, for example, which is what my wife does. The baseline standard of any delivery and installation is deliver the product, install it, and move out. What they've done is they run the client through a checklist at the end, make sure that they're happy with every single thing in that checklist, and then make sure that they leave the premises completely cleaned out. This is not common practice. And in fact, some people just complain because they've been left with a whirlwind that went through their home, nicely, neatly arranged home. And now they've got pieces of foam everywhere lying around, pieces of cardboard that are hidden under the furniture for months. And so they avoid this bad experience, my wife's business, by making sure that they do a thorough checkup and clean at the end. So hopefully this provides a little bit of an insight how researching what the industry standard is and status quo needs to be, and then going that extra step. And that applies to your industry again, whether that be brick and mortar shop or a digital service.
That's right. Yep. Fantastic. All right. So obviously we're looking at ways you can deliver exceptional value. And if you understand your industry, those things should pop up pretty clearly, and you should be able to find quick ways to find them for your business. Another way is to, with understanding your payer, is to look at open communication channel. So maintain transparent, open lines of communication with them, seek their feedback, listen for concerns and suggestions, maybe address issues that you can deliver promptly and demonstrate your commitment to their satisfaction. And I think what you've just highlighted in that example was what we're talking about there. So if installers go on site and they just don't clean up after themselves, and that's not a standard practice in the industry, if you do that, that experience is going to be amazing, and they're going to tell others. And then that word of mouth will start to come about for you. And then eventually what's going to happen is those other businesses either have to catch up to you, but by then hopefully you've been around long enough that you've got their reputation for doing it, and you're delivering it on time, that people just talk about you, not them. So they're just great examples of it. So love what you just brought up there, Sim. And then obviously another way to understand your payers is to build trust and long-term relationships. So foster trust by consistently delivering on what you promise and you're committed to. Offer long-term partnerships, subscriptions, options to benefit both parties. Show appreciation by thank you gestures and exclusive offers for cultivating their loyalty. Some things like these just get overlooked all the time. And some people just think, well, I've got their business, it's mine forever now. And it's just a mentality a lot of people have. They just have no idea that there is someone else, a new up and coming thing, whatever it is, changes in technology. There's always, we've talked about this in a previous episode about a SWOT analysis, where if you understand what those are when it comes to weaknesses and opportunities and threats, then you're going to be ahead of the curve by knowing that if you keep those things under wraps, then your brand's going to be in the right place. It's never going to have that opportunity to be damaged, because even if it takes a hit, which is always going to happen, life works this way, but you'll know how to react to that and you'll know what to do with it. So just constantly keeping mind on that. And if you are open and communicating, we've had one of those situations this week where a client was expecting a communication, and because, and I'll be honest, I didn't get back to them as quickly as I was hoping to. They had concerns. As soon as I did communicate to them, got them back what I was trying to do, they just realized I wasn't a bad person. I just had
provider.
It was just I had things that needed to be done before I could communicate properly with them. Once I did, things came good. So again, just understanding that open communication, even if it's bad news, good news, it's not quite what you want to tell them, still communicate. Just let them know that's where you're at. And I'll guarantee that most people are more appreciative of some communication, even if it's not the news they want to hear, than no communication. Because we've all got this little voice in our head that says, it's worse than I think the world's going to end.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, it's like you were just reading my mind right there, Chris. Yesterday I went through this when we had the communication with our client you just mentioned. I went back for a brief moment into my own past. I would literally let my little voice in my head tell me, this email is going to eat your world up. It's going to be terrifying. They're firing you. They're going to sue you for whatever money that you can't even afford. And then, lo and behold, as soon the moment you open up the email, you just realize it's something that is quite within reach, within grasp to address and resolve very, very promptly. So don't let the little voice take the better of you. Always prepare for whatever is in the pipeline. You will always be better prepared if you know what it is than if you don't know. And as a victim of myself, a number of times in the past, I've hidden away from looking at the monster straight on and being able to pick my my tool of choice to deal with that monster.
So obviously we're not life coaches in this conversation, and we're not trying to tell you what you have to do. But we're saying that most times it is better to confront the issue, have a chat to your client, talk about or your customers about what's going on, and be honest. And you'll guarantee that most of them, and the ones that don't, generally probably you probably shouldn't be in business with them anyway. They're probably not the right people for you. So, and that comes back to brand values and morals, and there's a whole episode we've talked about with that. But think about what you can do where you can foster a consistent way of delivering on your promises, offer incentives, and is there ways you can cultivate loyalty through exclusive offers or thank yous that you can do. Another way to activate your, the next P in this is activating your promoters. So this is the art of turning your customers into brand promoters. And what we'd love you to do is think about and identify, is there any incentives or ways you can get your current enthusiastic customers who can promote your brand even more? Can you encourage them to be official ambassadors or advocates? Is there ways to incentivize them with rewards, discounts, or exclusive offers to either products, events, or things like that? These things sometimes are really small gestures. You don't have to do a lot sometimes to get these people to do more for you, because they're already advocates and they're already really experiencing your brand in a positive way. So sometimes even I've been in this situation where I've been offered something and I've actually said no to it because I was happy just being able to support that brand. So it had nothing to do with money or incentives or anything like that. I just wanted to help them. But it's still, the fact is some people are motivated that way. So explore that with them, see what gets them going. What would they like to receive from you, in whether it's money, it's something that is value to them. It's an experience that they'd like to go through, and see if they can enhance what's going on. Like we talked about with just your example earlier, I guarantee that there are people out right there right now that have had that experience of an installer coming on site and they found, you know, foam everywhere or cardboard left over, and they thought that's the standard. And then if you told them what you're telling me now, and they go, what? They actually pick their crap up and they actually take it with them. That person who's experienced the negative is now going to go, tell me who that person is. I want to find out more about that. Because so again, not money related. It's just purely an experience that they want to have.
Yeah. Like you just said it right there in that last sentence. It doesn't have to be about money. The pure acknowledgement and identification can itself be the brand experience you're just talking about. If I can bring a couple of examples. So I've been a part of this Facebook group for a long time. And one of the things that I really appreciated being in this group for the last 4 years, I've just remembered, one of the things that they do really well is that they identify, acknowledge, and celebrate. And that is identify who the top contributors every month is, acknowledge them publicly in front of everybody else in the group. Because even technology today is geared towards enabling you to do this, developing brands quicker and scale them better than ever before. So you'll notice that if you run a group in Facebook, you'll know the dashboard gives you the information of who the top contributors in that group were for that month. So it's not a big stretch for you to actually publicly acknowledge them, identify them, and celebrate them. And going back to the Facebook group that I've been a part of, I've received a couple of gifts in the mail that were unexpected, but that unexpectation led to surprise. And now I've become the brand promoter for them. I've already referred to 3 or 4 people to join that group because the program and the culture inside is more than worth any other Facebook group that I've been a part of over the last 4 years, like I said. And another example is, you know this, Chris, I've told you a number of times, there's a supplement brand that I've just completely taken on board and embraced, and they've done the identification, acknowledgement, and celebration. They've sent me a number of times a box full of free product, and they've acknowledged me publicly in their podcasts. And it's just, I've now become more empowered than they themselves because of my lack of partisanship. What I mean is, because I'm not directly gaining, I'm not being paid, I'm not being sponsored by somebody, and I still recommend that brand to everybody that I come across, it's better than if the brand does themselves, because obviously they're vested in it, they have a direct gain from it, and therefore me being the brand promoter, now I can recommend with more of a neutrality tone to it.
Yeah. So great example, which is going to lead into our next slide anyway. So which is providing shareable content and an experience. So by them creating a way that you can resonate with your target audience that's shareable so that they can then tell others about it, offer something memorable as an experience or exceptional customer service that the customers want to share, or get them to use social media and referral programs to make it easier to spread the word. So some of these things, again, can be quite simple, is that if you make someone else's life a little bit easier, so you might have a kit that you give them, and then you tell them, when you meet somebody that meets this criteria, just hand this to them, or share this content that we've just given you right now to who you think might like it. These are simple things. And now if you've got advocates who go, hell yeah, I love your stuff, and my sister needs it, my mother needs it, my brother, my next door neighbor needs it, and you've just said, just press a button to share it, and that they know how to do that, then you're making their life easy, so they're going to do it, and that you're making them promote on your behalf. But it's your message. It's a controlled environment, which is the key to this conversation we're saying, is that, yes, there is times when you want them to speak from the heart and just tell what they've gone through, but there are other times when you want that controlled environment as much as you can, and you get them to share something that might have like a next step that person should take, a call to action that says, call this number, visit this website, download this document, these kind of things, which the actual person who's using the content to promote might struggle to say, like, oh yeah, you've got to I don't even remember the number. I can't remember the website's name. Like, so if you make that easy for them, and they just
Yes.
have to share the link, and it's like, oh no, just click on the link, it'll take you there, it'll do the job, or watch the video, it'll make sense.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, your brand is having a shared experience, but it's coming with someone else who's pushed that for you. And usually, most times, I can't say every time, but sometimes Sim will send me stuff and I'll go, yep, I'm into that. He shared it with me and I want to go look at it and have a bit of a gander because, I trust Sim's judgment on things.
Yeah.
Not all the time, but, there are most
Not all the time, not on everything.
You're not perfect. This isn't about being perfect.
Quick, next slide, quick.
But there is usually a reason to make people's life easier there. So think about what content you have in your kit that you might be able to offer that memorable experience or exceptional customer service. And as I said, if it's a referral program or something on social media that you can just get someone to quickly spread the word, another great way to get the promoters to use that, which leads to obviously what I was touching on with using user-generated content. So encourage your customers to create and share content related to your product or services. This is probably the second part I was talking about, with using their own voice. So get them to showcase their own content on their websites, their social media platforms. Get them to acknowledge and thank you for the you thanking them and for their contributions for fostering the sense of community and their appreciation. So the most common version of this is when we ask clients to get a Google review. A lot of people get Google reviews and they just leave it there. My incentive to all clients is that once you get that review, respond. It's even better if you know them personally and you can say, hey, it's Chris here and I'm so happy. Hope the kids are well. That kind of response. Because again, just the way you respond and showing that personal service, when the next person comes along and sees that response, they're going to go, oh, Chris knew he had kids. They must have had some conversation. There must be some kind of bond there. Geez, it sounds like they're really close. I'd love a bit of that with my supplier for blah, whatever it is. And that just may lead to your business for you. But obviously, again, the way you do that has to resonate with your values and your brand's methodologies and all these kind of things. But there is a way you can do it it's a simple thing. Like it's just a simple comment of acknowledgement that your customer has kids or a dog or whatever the case be. And the next person who has that same sort of situation will feel comfortable. Like they'll feel these guys seem to get them and that makes it a new business. So again, not spending money here, some of these ideas, some of these things are just purely just understanding your values and your processes that work with your brand and delivering it consistently. That's really what branding is about when it comes down to the raw essence of the underlying things that we talk about. So anything else to add to that, my friend?
Well, I've thought of a couple of competitions that are interesting in the way of brand building. Like a brand puts out a competition and creates a kit of assets to give to anybody entering this competition. This kit could be a number of photos or little visual devices that people use and prop up with, and then take photos and tag the brand being organizing the competition, which obviously creates a lot of movement, a lot of word of digital instead of word of mouth. And it brings back the recognition to the main brand by enabling and empowering everybody to participate in this funny gamified way of interacting with the brand. It's just leading back into the brand and building that awareness that is one of the results out of creating this user-generated content.
Yeah, and again, it's these days with social media is so much easier to do. So
absolutely,
yeah. So we're going to get on to the final P within the three that we've highlighted today, and this is the partners. So we're going to look at ways you can explore innovative ways to form strategic partnerships that benefit both parties. And this is the key here. You need to seek a mutually beneficial opportunity. So when you're looking at this, identify partners whose goals align with yours and ensure a win-win scenario. Look at ways you can maybe be able to collaborate on projects, do some co-marketing effort or product or service integrations to provide value to both parties. maybe look at ways you can foster communication and trust through nurturing those long-term relationships. Now, there's so many different versions of this when it comes to branding, but even with the competition you were talking earlier, there's the competition where you might have a target audience that both you and your partner want to get in front of. And I don't know, let's just say you want to give away a car. Now, on your own, you can't give away a car, but you bring the partner in, go 50-50 on the car, and you might say, well, hang on, that still fits into our marketing budget, or an iPad, or a delivery of a service, whatever it is. But there's probably something that's probably out of your reach on your own. But if you find a collaborative partner that you can work with, and you've got the same target audience, then you may be able to reach out to them and say, hey, look, I've got this idea. It seems that we're in a non-competing situation where what I do doesn't compete with you, but we've got the same target audience. Would you like to form a relationship where we can go ahead and try to reach them, because your brand, my brand work well together, we complement each other, and as I said, no competition. So you'd be surprised how many times this will pop up and where they are. We have a number of these in our relationships that we have with Brandion, where we have suppliers, we have contractors, we have all sorts of people that we work with, and they want us to do well, and we want them to do well, and we work together on projects together. And from the client's point of view, sometimes they don't even need to see the other brand. They just want to know something's delivered. And by having that experience, the way we trust them and they trust us, we have a great outcome for our clients. And that experience is a win-win for everybody. So think about who you have, and you can form relationships that will allow you to do this kind of thing, because this is where, it may be something you haven't thought about. You've just been living in a silo, running your business, doing your own thing. But you'd be surprised sometimes if you reach out to somebody, how open they might be. And I actually have had this conversation with a number of people in the past where they've gone, I was thinking about doing this, but I didn't know how to start. And you called me, I'm open, let's talk, and even sometimes I've had other situations where that idea never went anywhere. It just didn't happen. But the relationship was formed, and then other business opportunities presented themselves, and we did those things. But it started by having a conversation and trying to find a mutual way that you can get to the same audience, the same customer base, and build each other's businesses or brands. So just think about who you might have in your life right now that you could maybe explore that. Before we move on, Sim, do you have anything to add?
Just a quick tip of, in order to enable this device that Chris just talked about, think of the process that your brand requires in order to deliver on its promise. The promise here being the template for the word product or service. So for example, again, using fitness equipment shops, what is it that in their process they require that could be allied with somebody else to create a better offer, but doesn't compete or mutually exclude each other? So nutrition supplements is an obvious alliance. It needs to be the right supplements company or the brand. They need to align on values. They need to align on a number of things. But when this happens, both benefit by referring each other and delivering a better offer than they could by themselves. Ourselves, we talk to printers, we talk to photographers, we talk to copywriters, and we don't do everybody's job. But when it makes sense, it could be of mutual benefit to bring in and plug in their services. It could be a sign making business that could partner up with us. You can try these relationships and create little campaigns around it, promotion efforts, and see how they go. Because you'll find in the process that you'll get to know yourself better as a brand, and you'll be able to pinpoint where the opportunity lies for your brand and somebody else's brand to partner up with.
That's right. Yep. Fantastic. All right. So look, that essentially, understanding that. So in summary, we're going to just highlight here. So hopefully what you've done today is you've discovered ways to build lasting and create lasting relationships with those who either fund your business. And as we've highlighted, there are 3 of those that maybe 2 of them you haven't thought about as ways you can do that. Secondly, we've got ways to turn the art of turning a customer into brand promoters. So I think a lot of you may not have thought about the way that you can actually use your customer base to promote and market your brand. And then obviously we've explored innovative ways to form partnerships that both parties benefit from that relationship. And if this all makes sense to you, we'd love you to book a discovery session. So please let us help you understand your business and assess the state of your brand. What are your goals and where your brand needs to be? And reach out to us to do some brand guardianship. We have a discovery session that hopefully highlights ways you can work with us and we can work with you. How does it work? Well, we have a simple 1, 2, 3 approach. You do the discovery call, let us understand your business. Then we work with you to select a program, as we understand that one size doesn't fit all, and together that we determine the best program that'll meet your goals and put a plan in place. Once that plan's in place, we look at an onboarding and a coaching session that we meet with you regularly and assign a brand guardian, which in this case maybe is myself or Sim, and we'll look at ways to stay focused on amplifying your brand. So please visit that URL, brand.agency/brand hyphen, brand guardianship.
I'll just call it hyphen. Yes, brand hyphen guardianship.
Yep, and get there. We'll put the notes in the live stream anyway. And look, the drum roll comes about, and we're going to talk about what next week. We're staying in the blue section, and we're going to talk about products. So we're going to get into the details of what you offer to your customers and how. Why are we going to do this? Well, we're going to reveal the tangible asset that you sell, how you present them to your target market, and how you interact with it. What we'll examine is obviously looking at your customer's nurture journey. We're going to explore the process of how you take people from a prospect to a client, then from being that client to a loyal advocate of your business that refers to you and continually buys from you to stay with you for years. And we've given some great incentives on what that touches on with today. That's hence why we're going to do them back to back, because they do lead into each other. So we do thank everybody for coming along on the journey with us today, as we went into an area that I feel, was way off what normal branding is explored, because spent a lot of time in strategy and visual over the past few weeks. And one thing that doesn't come up when it comes into strategy is people thinking about these relationships that they have and how your brand touches them, affects them, and then not just that, how they respond to you asking them to do things for you, and treating a brand more like a human, because that's what we try to do when we do brands, is make it human, because we all like to relate with humans, as much as we didn't get into it, but we may finish on that. Like, if your dog is loving a product, is having a great experience, it's happy, then you're happy, Sim, aren't you?
I am.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Same as my puppy. So if they're happy and you have that genuinely great experience and your dog is having that great experience, the dog's not buying the product.
Yeah.
But you are.
I am.
Yeah. Because you're happy, you've seen them happy, and then you're going to tell others about that experience. And that's generally what we're talking about today, is that even though sometimes it's not you that is experiencing the actual product, there is someone influencing your decision to buy that product. And how can you get into that journey and partner with somebody that might help that experience? That's what hopefully you take away from today. So any last thoughts on today's session?
Brand inward and outward, everyone listening to this. We've talked about 3 Ps that build human relationships, and relationships are part of building that vision for the future. Your clients will only leave your brand when they stop seeing the future with you. So make sure that you build that vision with them, and we'll leave it at that.
Yep. So thank you, everyone. Thank you for joining us today on another session of Amplify Your Brand. And we look forward to other ways that we can help you amplify your brand. So thank you for joining us this week. Catch you next week.